Good morning, Robert Scribbler, and I must apologize because the last OBX wave report had a bit of a technical difficulty. And so I'm going to be live streaming this broadcast again. Let's see, checking my Twitch page to make sure everything is okay. And so, yep, okay. So it looks like we are live streaming. And looks like everything is good. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties the last time. So I'm just testing to make sure everything is good here. Let's see. Apparently Twitter is not posting my tweets here. All right, so hopefully you guys are getting the audio. And actually, you know what? Let me Yep, here we go. It does look like. Yep. So everything is good. So all the things check out except for Twitter. Apparently Twitter is giving us some trouble with some technical difficulties, but I will go ahead and post this to Twitter when we are done, so that's not a big deal. I do want to show you guys some photographs from the surf session that I recorded yesterday, which was really amazing over at Jeanette's Pier. So again, welcome to the OBX Wave Report, where we discuss all things waves, weather, climate, and beach lifestyle. And we advocate for climate action and coastal defense. And I am Robert Scribbler, your wave reporter. And yesterday I got some wonderful photographs of surfers out here enjoying the beautiful 3 to 6 foot, 4 to 7 foot waves. And this shot is just, I thought this was fantastic. I had three surfers all in frame, one here in the mid break. So this guy here kind of tucked right into the pocket. I think he comes in and does an air. And then we've got two surfers on a wave. They basically caught it at the peak. One went left, one went right, and they're just shredding it. This guy looks like he's about to dismount. This guy's trying to work his way back down into the pocket and get some more energy, possibly for some more good moves. So fantastic waves there at Jeanette's Pier on the Outer Banks in Nag's Head yesterday. Waves in the range of, excuse me, 3 to 6 foot, 4 to 7 foot. Just wonderful conditions down there, although the ocean waters are pretty cold, so you do need your wetsuits. And you do need to make sure that you stay warm. The ocean water temperatures there in the range of 47 to 48 degrees, so pretty cold. Yep, it's like ice cream headache time if you don't have the nice hoods and the gloves to keep your hands warm. Your hands are going to get all numb, and your feet. And you probably need at least a 3-4 millimeter wetsuit out there. I've got a 2-3, and that's not quite hacking it. But in any case, just gorgeous, gorgeous waves at Jeanette's Pier yesterday. And I do want to show you guys some of the other pictures I got, or just another picture that I got over here at Jeanette's Pier. And oh, it does look like it got Twitter. Interesting. Oh no, that was last time. Okay, let's just go ahead and delete this. There we go. Okay, and then so moving on down to this other beautiful photograph that I got, we have two surfers charging the big waves breaking at the end of Jeanette's Pier here yesterday. And just look at this beast. This is the end of the pier, and you got this massive wave breaking just off the pier. Beautiful glassy waves coming in off the backside of a hurricane force low pressure system that formed offshore and then went off toward the Canadian Maritimes and then out into the Central Atlantic, and behind it sent out this really gorgeous swell, massive propagation of waves. And here in the Outer Banks, we got 4 to 9 foot waves on Tuesday, and then yesterday looks like 3 to 7 foot waves. And then today we've got, I'd say 3 to 6 foot waves across the Outer Banks. So coming down a little bit, but not too much. Hopefully we'll get down to the beaches and get some surfing in today. That's another busy day for me, and even more busy considering the fact that my last video got nuked. All right, so the main event though, um, it, aside from the beautiful waves that we're experiencing today and into tomorrow, likely, is this thing. And this thing is we've got a frontal boundary draped from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up through parts of the eastern United States and a low pressure system heading off toward the Great Lakes region. And this is expected to, well, the low pressure system here is expected to track on off to the north and east, and it's going to drag this front behind it. The front is expected to stall out here across the southeast, and then a number of low pressure systems are expected to form along the front, creating a nor'easter type event for the US East Coast and the Mid Atlantic here over Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. So a 3-day nor'easter event. According to the National Weather Service, we're going to have a rather strong low pressure system develop here. Although looking at the models, it doesn't look like it's a bomb cyclone kind of systems, nothing too crazy, but nonetheless, rather strong severe weather likely for this weekend. And then as we get on into Tuesday, we are likely to see some nice waves on the backside of that system. So some exciting weather on tap for the Outer Banks and good waves. As a result, hopefully the storm system will not become too intense or too dangerous, or produce too much in the way of coastal flooding, which is something that we are more and more concerned about now with climate change and sea level rise. And hopefully it won't bomb out into like a bomb cyclone type system. And we're increasingly concerned about that because the ocean water temperatures are rather warmer than normal, and that provides extra fuel for these kinds of systems. And here in the colder cloud tops model provided by Tropical Tidbits, this is an infrared satellite shot of the colder cloud tops. We do see this front starting to fire off some storms for portions of the southeast and the low pressure system that's dragging it moving on through the Great Lakes region. We've got an area of disturbed weather here over the central US and dragging some snowfall behind it, possibly onto the eastern slopes of the Rockies, and then another system heading into the Pacific Northwest. I do want to show you, oh, that's waves. Let's look at the wind model. So I do want to show you the nor'easter in the wind model as it's expected to develop. And we do have some strong winds expected to come in across the Outer Banks today, not today, into the weekend, into the gale force range, according to the Global Forecast System model. So this is for a forecast for February the 12th, so Sunday, showing gale force winds coming onshore by Sunday in association with a nor'easter type system. So I did want to show you the classic nor'easter pattern. You've got the warm front out ahead of the nor'easter here in the confluence of the warm airs rising up from from the south heading north. And then the colder airs swooping in behind it, creating a cold front. And then anchored between the two fronts, a low pressure system or a series of low pressure systems. And in this case, looks like a series of low pressure systems. According to the National Weather Service's marine forecast, we do have a nor'easter type system developing. And I'm just going to read you the synopsis report for Atlantic waters from the National Weather Service marine forecast, and they state that a nearly stationary front over the central waters will lift north as a warm front today ahead of a low pressure system that will move across the Great Lakes. A cold front will approach the coast tonight, move offshore Friday and into Friday night, and then stall across the waters late Friday and into Saturday as a series of low pressures develop along develop and move northeast along the frontal boundary. A strong low pressure system will then develop off the U.S. southeast coast Saturday night and then slowly move northeast across the central and northern waters Sunday through Monday night while pulling a cold front along with it. Mariners are urged to keep abreast of the latest forecasts as the weekend approaches. So there are potential for gale force winds and nor'easter type conditions this weekend and moving on into Monday, according to the National Weather Service marine forecasts. Right now, we've got small craft advisories up for portions of the Outer Banks. Looks like, let's see. Yep, small craft advisories. So no gale watches as yet, but potentially those will start popping up as we get closer to the weekend. And then you can see the disturbed weather moving in across the southeast in association with the front. Looking at the NOAA quantitative prediction forecast, we do see the signature of the nor'easter showing up in the 1 week forecast, and definitely some potentially heavy precipitation here for the US Southeast and along the Outer Banks in association with the developing nor'easter. It's also worth noting that we do have some stormy weather heading into the Pacific Northwest and Seattle and Oregon. So that's definitely worth keeping note of. And then for the rest of the country, milder weather patterns, less intense weather patterns. All right, so getting into our local observations for waves, we do have some rather nice waves at present and some rather nice conditions just generally for the east-facing beaches of the Outer Banks. At Jeanette's Pier right now, waves are in the range of 3 to 4 feet, so a little bit smaller than yesterday, which was we had more 3 to 6 foot, 4 to 7 foot range waves there yesterday. But today, waves have tamped down a bit into the 3 to 4 foot range. Still very nice. If you got 3 to 4 foot waves there at Jeanette's Pier, that's a fun day. And so the primary swell right now is coming in at 12 seconds with a secondary swell at 10 seconds. Winds are out of the southeast at 9 miles per hour, which is a cross-shore flow. Air temperatures are 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Ocean water temperature is cold at 48 degrees Fahrenheit. You're going to need all the cold weather gear there in those kinds of cold water conditions. Weather conditions are sunny to partly cloudy with an expected high today, rather warm at 57 degrees Fahrenheit. So nice conditions there at Jeanette's Pier. We're going to try and get down to the beaches today and get some surfing in. At the very least, we'll get some video observations for you guys down at the beaches. And then moving on south to Rodanth, we have waves also in the range of 3 to 4 feet here at Rodanth, with a primary swell coming in at 11 seconds and a secondary swell coming in at 10 seconds. Winds are out of the south-southeast at 10 miles per hour, which is a more of an onshore flow with a bit of a cross-shore component. Air temperatures right now 62 degrees Fahrenheit with ocean water temperatures in the range of 55. Much warmer ocean water temperatures at 55 there at Rodanth, but certainly not warm. We are getting closer to the Gulf Stream down there at Rodanth, so you're starting to get that influence from the Gulf Stream warming up those waters there. Weather conditions are sunny to partly cloudy with an expected high today of 62 degrees at Rodanth. So very nice conditions at Rodanth. Warmer waters definitely would make that more pleasant. I don't know if we're going to get all the way down south, so we might just be in freeze our butts off mode at Jeanette's Pier today. All right, so moving on south to Buxton, we're going to move even further out of the influence of the Labrador Current. We're using our Google Maps here for informational purposes as we head on south, getting to Buxton. And Buxton is the big wave spot for the Outer Banks today with a swell coming in at 5 to 6 feet. The primary swell coming in at 12 seconds, the secondary swell coming in at 10 seconds. Winds are out of the south-southeast, gentle winds at 8 miles per hour. This is an onshore flow with a slight cross-shore component. Air temperatures right now at Buxton are 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Ocean water temperatures at Buxton also in the range of 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Weather conditions for today at Buxton, sunny to partly cloudy as the fronts start to move in from the west and the south, and an expected high today at Buxton of 64 degrees. So beautiful conditions here in the Outer Banks ahead of the nor'easter. These conditions are likely to persist into Friday, so the good waves that we've been experiencing over the past few days are likely to maintain for today and then for tomorrow. And then by Saturday, we're going to start to see the influence of that nor'easter, which is going to really make the surf conditions pretty gnarly. And I doubt most people are going to want to get out, although you might see some kite surfers or some crazy types out there in the very rough surf that is forecast. So we shall see how conditions do develop. Looking at our long range outlook for February 16 to the 22nd, it does look like for the following week, once this nor'easter heads on out, we're going to tend to see much above normal temperature conditions. So we're likely to see some very sunny, warm days ahead in the February 16 to 22nd timeframe, although it does look like we might get some storminess intermittently throughout that warm period, according to the Climate Prediction Center here, NOAA's Climate Prediction Center. But the most stormy conditions are expected to focus toward the upper Mississippi and Ohio River Valley regions and in toward the Great Lakes, as well as toward the Pacific Northwest here, Washington and Oregon, Montana, Utah region here. So, I'm sorry, Idaho region here. Utah is over here. Okay, yeah, geography was good. Okay, but yeah, just generally speaking, much warmer than normal and a little bit stormier than normal, but not too crazy over the next couple of weeks. Now, focusing in on severe weather, it does look like we have some thunderstorm potential with the fronts moving in through the Florida Panhandle and then through parts of the Ohio River Valley. For tomorrow, the stalled front is likely to produce some stronger showers, possibly some thunderstorms as well. And then into looks like Monday, looks like the Florida is the main focal point for thunderstorms. All right, so I do want to show you guys the global forecast system model progression for the nor'easter and show you where the front is expected to stall out and where these low pressure systems are expected to form and how strong the low pressure systems are expected to be. Now, it's worth noting that the National Weather Service is indicating a potential strong low. In this model, in the global forecast system model, we don't have any indication of a bomb cyclone event. I haven't yet looked at like the other models, the CMWF or any of the like mesoscale models. So it's possible that some of those models are pointing for a more deep low pressure system. I really hope that we are not going to see a bomb cyclone here on the US East Coast. That would be very bad. But we do have these warmer than normal water temperatures that are providing extra moisture in the atmosphere. So it's just something that we want to keep in our minds. This is a climate change fingerprint on the risk for severe weather development. And it's something that is loading the dice for more severe weather here in the Outer Banks and across the world, and we don't want to ignore it. All right, so as we get into Saturday, we see the frontal system start to stall out here across the US East Coast with strong weather developing along the front. And then as we get later into the day on Saturday, we start to see low pressure develop late in the day on Saturday and early in the day on Sunday here along the Florida-Georgia border. And then these low pressure systems are expected to skirt the coastline and intensify as they move on up the coast into Sunday. And you see this in the global forecast system model. It's worth noting that one low forms ahead and then skirts up toward the Outer Banks and then transfers this energy back toward the South Carolina region as another low just kind of sucks up the energy. And the feature from this is that you end up getting like these persistent, strong to severe weather conditions over a long period of time. It's worth noting that the heavy rains do appear to pretty much stall over the Outer Banks on Sunday. So we're looking at least in the global forecast system model, very severe weather or pretty severe weather here on Sunday throughout the day. So we could see some really serious rainfall potential from this system. And then getting on early into the day on Monday, the low bounces around from Virginia and then on back toward off the Outer Banks. And then as we get into later in the day on Monday, the storm's still taking its time as it heads off the East Coast. And then into the day on Tuesday, we're just well on the backside of the system, and we're likely to see some nicer weather, some calmer weather, and probably some good waves on the backside of the system as well. So that's the progression according to the global forecast system model. I did want to show you the progression of waves for this system. So, and well, for today, tomorrow, and then as we start to get into the nor'easter and then into the backside of the nor'easter. So right now, significant wave heights in the near offshore environment in the range of 4.5 feet, 4 to 5 feet basically. And these waves coming in almost directly to the shore. So we're getting some nicely formed waves there on the beaches. And then into tomorrow, this nice swell is expected to persist, although we do start to get some influence, some coastal influence from that front. And actually, let's look at the winds. Winds aren't too strong yet as we start to get into Friday, but they're starting to pick up. And so, but yeah, likely tomorrow will still be a good surf day. And then as we get into the day on Saturday, we start to see the influence of the nor'easter with stronger winds coming out of the north, strong winds out of the northeast, basically, kicking up the surf to 6 to 7 feet. So Saturday is going to be a pretty rough day, but the roughest day is going to be Sunday as we start to get potentially gale force winds and significant wave heights in the range of 13 feet in the near offshore environment. That's pretty nasty. You can see some significant wave heights. Since the significant wave heights are in the range of about 13 feet, well, 12.5 in this model, you can see some rogue waves in the range of 25 feet. So that's some pretty gnarly surf there for Sunday. And then as we get on into Monday, you also see a rather tall swell, this one coming more out of the north. As we get on the backside of the low, you can see the swirl. And these waves coming in around 11 feet in the near offshore environment. So still very powerful surf into Monday. And then as we head on into Tuesday, I'm gonna do a little kind of cheat with this model so we can slip on into Tuesday and see what happens. So earlier in the day on Tuesday, yep, this is very early in the day on Tuesday. We're in the backside of the nor'easter here, and it does look like the waves are coming down a bit with the angle to the coastline more favorable in the range of 5 to 6 feet. So it does look like Tuesday will be another good surf day. So good surf days today, tomorrow, next Tuesday, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, looking very stormy for the Outer Banks, a possible rather strong nor'easter. Now, I did talk about the ocean water temperatures, and I've shown you the ocean water temperatures pretty consistently throughout the OBX wave report, but I just want to remind you of the sea surface temperature anomalies out here off the Outer Banks. And you do see some cooler waters here near the coast, and that's primarily due to upwelling and a westerly flow. But out here in the Gulf Stream, ocean water temperatures are in the range of 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And if you draw out, you can just see this massive pool of much warmer to warmer than normal waters for pretty much the entire Atlantic Ocean and the entire Gulf of Mexico. And like here in the nearshore waters, you got 4 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, and then out in the Gulf of Mexico, like 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in most places. And even out here in the North Atlantic, away from the Gulf Stream, whose temperatures are much warmer than normal, you've got 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal ocean water temperatures. Off the northeast in the Labrador Current, you've got 4 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal water conditions. So overall, just much warmer than normal water conditions, providing more water vapor fuel for whatever storms do develop. All right, so thank you for joining me for this portion of the OBX Wave Report, where we discuss all things waves, weather, climate, and beach lifestyle. I am Robert Scribbler, your wave reporter, and right now we are focusing on a nor'easter that is expected to develop in the Outer Banks. Um, I would like to just end by saying, please, please do everything you can to help speed the mass deployment of clean energy. Those sources being wind, solar primarily, and these sources can be sped by the massive manufacturing boom that we are now seeing in the United States due to positive policies by the pro-democracy Democratic Party and the pro-America Democratic Party. And this manufacturing strength can result in a wave of clean energy sweeping over the Western world and helping to tamp back the harm that is even now being produced by climate crisis. You've got harmful forces now trying to spread fear about refugees, for example, and in many places in the world right now, refugees are being created by the more powerful storms and loss of some of the coastal environments that we are already seeing. So um, if you do help to deploy the clean energy, you will help to preserve our beautiful coastlines for everyone, including surfers and people who live here and all who enjoy the coastlines and the richness that they provide. So the main effort right now being the mass deployment of clean energy in the form of wind, solar, and electric vehicles and all the renewables. We completely can limit, or we can, I say completely, it's a little bit of a superlative, but we can absolutely, there we go, we can absolutely limit the warming to 1.6, 1.5 degrees Celsius or less, as the scientists advise, but we need to cut emissions by 50% this decade to do it. And it's something that is totally doable. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not. I encourage you to listen to scientists like Dr. Michael Mann, for example, or Dr. Catherine or Professor Catherine Hayhoe, um, and other experts in clean energy like Mark Jacobson. Let's just do it. Let's just do the right things. Let's have a better future. Let's have a good future. And we can do so much both for our economy and for our world. So thank you for joining me for this version of the OBX Wave Report, this session of the OBX Wave Report. And please get out there, shred some waves, and do the work for the good. Thank you for joining me again, and I will be back with you shortly.